right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into what is, no joke, one of the most difficult and, frankly, shocking stories in the entire Bible. You see this line? It pops up over and over again in the book of Judges, and honestly, it's the key to everything. It's painting a picture of a society where everyone just does whatever they want, where personal desire is the only law. And as we're about to see, the consequences are absolutely devastating. So you might think a story like this starts with, a king or a great warrior, but no. It starts with a religious figure and a broken home. And that right there sets the stage for a national tragedy that is just going to spiral completely out of control. Okay, so our main character here is a Levite. Now, this guy should be a spiritual guide for the entire nation, right? An example of holiness. But things go wrong from the absolute get-go. He takes a concubine, which just wasn't permitted. And that first step away from the rules, well, it's a huge red flag. It kind of signals the moral decay that's really at the heart of this whole mess. Now, I need you to lock this idea into your brain. Hospitality. Back then, it wasn't just about being polite. It was literally the bedrock of their whole society. Think about it. No hotels, no police force. Welcoming a traveler was a sacred duty, a fundamental act of decency and safety. And the complete and utter breakdown of this custom, that's the crack in the foundation where all the horror starts to seep in. Okay, so let's get into the incident itself. What starts out as basically a domestic dispute, it just spirals into something so depraved, so awful, that it's often compared to the destruction of Sodom. This is the moment where that moral rot we've been talking about becomes terrifyingly, horribly clear. So just look at this chain of events. Step by step, it's a society in total freefall. The duty of hospitality? Ignored. Mob rule takes over. And human life? It's treated like it's completely disposable. And that moment, step 4, where the Levite pushes his concubine out the door to save himself. I mean, that is the chilling ultimate example of everyone doing what is right in their own eyes. And then it gets worse. Instead of grief, instead of a proper burial, the Levite does something truly unimaginable. He dismembers her body into 12 pieces and sends one piece to each of the 12 tribes of Israel. It's an act of just staggering brutality. Yeah, this really forces you to realize there are no good guys here. There are no simple heroes in this story. The Levite's horrifying act, it wasn't just an expression of grief. No, it was a calculated, grotesque call to arms. A political move, really, designed for one thing, to provoke the entire nation into a civil war. And it works. The Levite's horrifying message gets the reaction he wanted. The tribes of Israel gather together. But they're not gathering for justice. They're gathering for war. A brutal civil war that is about to tear the nation apart, turning brother against brother. So the 11 tribes go to the tribe of Benjamin and say, "Hand over the guilty men from Gibeah." But Benjamin refuses. And that's it. War is declared. But just look at these numbers. This is what's so wild. We're talking about 400,000 soldiers against 26,000. Nearly 500,000 men are about to go to war over a crime committed in one small town. The scale of this is just massive. And this is where you can really see the spiritual problem at play. The Israelites, they go and ask God, should we go fight? But it's just a formality. Their minds are already made up. They lose the first battle, they lose the second battle. Why? Because their hearts are totally set on war. They're not looking for God's guidance. They're just looking for God's rubber stamp of approval on what they already decided to do. It's only after they finally, genuinely repent and seek God that they win the third battle. But the victory is devastating. Look at that number. 25,100 Benjamite soldiers are killed, out of 26,000. It's a near total annihilation of their army. The entire tribe is brought to the very, very brink of extinction. So the war is over. But in their rage, the Israelites have created a brand new, massive problem for themselves. They might have just permanently erased an entire tribe from the map. And now, they have to figure out how to live with the consequences of what they've done. So, how bad was it? Only 600. Just 600 men from the tribe of Benjamin managed to survive the slaughter, and they only did it by hiding out in the wilderness. The entire future of a whole tribe now rests on the shoulders of this tiny group of fugitives. And here's the kicker, here is the crucial point. The Israelites' own rash vow, something they swore in the heat of battle, is now threatening to finish the job the war started. They took an oath that none of them would ever let their daughters marry a Benjamite. So, with no wives, they've basically sentenced the entire tribe to a slow, inevitable death. So what's their solution? Well, it's just morally bankrupt. I mean, look at this. First, they find a town that didn't join the war, kill all the men, and take 400 of their women. It's more violence. Then, to get the rest, they basically sanction kidnapping. They tell the Benjamites to go hide and abduct women from a religious festival. It's a legal loophole built on a pagan custom, and it just shows how far they've fallen. They solve one problem by creating a whole new tragedy. So, after all that horror, how in the world does this story end? And maybe the bigger question is, how could anything good possibly come out of this absolute mess? Well, the story ends right back where it started, with this same chilling line. In those days, there was no king in Israel. It's a full circle warning, a stark reminder of what happens when a society completely abandons its moral compass, its divine king. All of this chaos, it's the direct result of that spiritual anarchy. But wait, here's the stunning twist. From the absolute ashes of this disgraced, nearly extinct tribe, eventually, centuries later, comes one of the most important figures in all of Christian history, the Apostle Paul. He was a Benjamite. So what does that mean? It means this story shows us that even in the most depraved, the most hopeless situations imaginable, God's long-term plan can still unfold in ways that nobody could ever predict. It really leaves you wondering, right? What hidden purpose, what glimmer of hope might be found against all odds, even in our own darkest moments?